And joining us now is a Northern California representative, congressman, and member of the House Armed Services Committee, John Garamendi. Thanks for joining us today.
Good to be with you on a very, very difficult day.
It is a difficult day. We'll get to North Korea and those detainees that came back, but let's start with Syria because with this conflict right now, they're exchanging attacks. Do you see this going into an all-out war here?
I pray it doesn't. The Middle East has always been a powder keg. And managing that powder keg over the many decades has been one of the principal things that the United States has tried to do. Tamp down the conflicts, try not to get a major war there. It doesn't look good right now. Some very, very serious things have happened. The president pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal, when it was actually working, has created an enormous uncertainty. And that may be part of what we're seeing now. We know that Iran is going to push back. They're going to push back with Hezbollah, terrorist organizations around the area. And right now, something that is really, really of great concern is that the Israeli military and the Iran military are in a conflict. We've got to tamp this down. We can't let this go on.
The President Trump has been saying even before he was elected that this is one of the worst deals. We knew and expected that he would pull out of this Iran nuclear deal. But how does this now play into, as we're moving forward, what is the U.S.'s role going to be in all this, if in fact it does escalate to that
this
point?
Is one of the problems. There is no plan B. The President pulled out of a deal that was actually working. Iran was not developing a nuclear weapon. That had been pushed aside for 10 to 15 years. And now, what's plan B? Our key allies, France, United Kingdom, Germany, the European Union, and even Russia and China, no allies of us, they're not sure what they're going to do about this deal. Is Iran going to restart its nuclear program? Possibly. How do the sanctions work? Plan B doesn't exist.
What should plan B be?
We never should have to have gone to plan B. The sanctions were in place. The pressure was on Iran. We needed to deal with their continued support of terrorism. We need to deal with their missiles. But the nuclear issue, the nuclear weapons that they were about to build, that was not going to happen. So where do we go from here? We've got to get back to work with our allies. We have to make sure that this current conflict between Iran's military and the Israeli military ceases. Both of them pull back. It's not in either country's interest to engage in an all-out fight between these two very powerful militaries. That needs to be pulled back. And then Syria has to be dealt with. Unfortunately, what's happening in Syria is that the United States is not at the table. There was a conference a month ago between Russia, Syria, Turkey, and Iran. The United States was not at that table. Yet we are definitely militarily involved in Syria. So we've got chaos there. We need to slow it down. We need to try to make some accommodation between Israel and Iran and what's happening at this moment. We'll see. It's a very difficult, very dangerous situation.
Nuclear issues obviously top of mind as we are now, a month away from this meeting with President Trump and North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un. What do you expect to come out of that meeting? Are you confident that he can negotiate some sort of deal? Especially, as we just saw these 3 detainees come back. Got to give him some credit for working that out.
Absolutely deserves credit, as does previous administrations that were able to negotiate the return of hostages that North Korea held. Good, a very good start. What's going to come of this? This is going to be a very, very difficult thing. The situation in Korea, between North Korea and South Korea, the first element is that we are still at war. There was an armistice, that was a ceasefire, but for 60 years the war has continued. South Korea has taken a major and very, very important step, and that is they've said that they will accept, this is new, and very important, they will accept that there are 2 Koreas. In other words, a peace agreement between North Korea and South Korea, 2 separate countries for some time into the future. That is a major and critically important starting point for negotiations. Now, how do you build on that? Take that, deal with the denuclearization. That's going to be extremely difficult. North Korea is going to want to hang on to that because that is their ultimate safety. They know that if they have a nuclear weapon, the United States and North and South Korea are not going to invade. So they're not willing to give that up for some time, but they could be moved away from that over a period of time, step by step. We'll see. It's very important. I'm very hopeful that the president will be able to be the great negotiator, and this will be a really serious test.
All right, Congressman, thanks so much for your time.
Pleasure.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Edie, back to you.
Kelly, thank you. Well, it is the